Right then, we're live. Just Richard and I today. Cash is a little tired by the sounds of it, and yeah, that was like we were just saying just before we went live. More disappointing than sort of angry, really, or pissed off. It was kind of like, especially the first half, I thought we played pretty well. I don't know about you. It's like,
yeah, I think we can see how we're trying to play. It's the teeth at the end of the muzzle, isn't it?
yeah.
It's if we're a wolf, then we're young and our teeth seem a bit soft.
Yeah.
I just feel, and the people I've been speaking to, if we click, we're going to be very good. We're at that we're at that tipping point where we're playing a lot of youth, which I accept we've got to. People can make comments, and rightly, that maybe it's a big risk not to have a backup striker. There's a whole discussion there about that. It's been very well discussed, and it's a risk, and the risk is, it's fitness. I mean, how many games where you'd say if Raul on form was playing, we win game, or we don't lose games, and it's a very different agenda, and because we're set up to really demand a lot out of a striker, because one of the comments I had before was we're trying to score almost the perfect goal, rather than let's go for quick and dirty. I do feel that the players especially should take a lot of confidence and credit from how they're performing, even though they won't get that. They'll be the league position, and the results are what a lot of people will judge them on. But I look at that and think, if they're mentally strong enough to come through this, I think it's all positive. I mean, Hoovier.
I'm surprised he's not starting, because I really think he's impressive. For someone so young. He really is very, very impressive. I think what was telling today for me, and I thought, as the first half was so good, you saw certain players in the second half drop off massively, and I put that down to age and mentally tired, not physically tired, because they're not going to be physically tired. They're trained athletes. They're going to be able to do that. But mentally tired. I thought that Gibbs White played the best I'd seen him for a long time, up until the second half, and then about 15 minutes into the second half, he just went to pieces. He's putting touches off. But I'm just putting that down to he's been playing Championship football. He's still a young player,
and he's been out. He's been out for
and he's been out, and
give the guy
mentally, his brain was just tired from. He's not back up to when people say match fitness. He's not fully up to match fitness.
And that's where, if you're going to criticise the manager, part of your job is to understand how players react under. I mean, I do martial arts, and one of the things you find as you get better, and I'm really not saying I'm any good, but as you get better, you may age and get slower physically, but you develop more time, because you see the tells that people are giving you, so you actually end up with mentally more time. And it's exactly what you're saying, that you can be a young player and you're reacting to the drop of the shoulder, but you've gone the other way. But that's mentally hard. Whereas if you go, I know what you're going to do, bang, I'll take the ball there. And which Semedo does. I think Semedo's a clever player like that. He's not I'm going to knock you off the ball with a studs up challenge. I'm going to nick it when I can.
I'm finding, for me, Semedo is a very 50-50 player for me. He 50% of the times does really, really good stuff, and then he seems to just have total brain farts. The other.
Do you think he's expecting?
I don't know what it is.
I wonder whether and again, it's something which again has been discussed. Is we want to buy Premier League ready players. Well, if any player comes in from a league abroad, especially from a bigger club like Barcelona, and they are bigger than us, just so you know,
only it's
little bit,
tiny bit, only a little bit.
I think refereeing decisions go your way more, just because you're more attacking team. Teams will treat you differently. They'll stand off you. They'll treat you more respect. So there's an element of he's got to adapt to where he is. I don't think he's. I was concerned, and it was a concern of, do you need to step back a second or be substituted a second to give you time out the firing line, as people say? But generally, I think he'll be a cracking player.
He could well be. I think that's the thing for me is you see how good he can be, and then he'll just it's like he switches off, and like you say, maybe playing previously at Barcelona, perhaps he didn't have so much coming at him for so long in a game. Barcelona are known for their possession.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's just not used to having that many players coming at him so much of the game, which is why he suddenly gets caught like, oh my God, shit, I've got to do something here. And
you can see that when we've got the ball and he's being offensive, he's much more. He's looking linker play. I think he's given a bit more freedom than. Well, when he's got that freedom around the last third, he looks very good. We are a work in progress. There's an argument you hear, why change a winning team? I don't think we were. I think I'm more positive about this year than last. I remember going to a lot of games when we could go to games in those glorious days, where I thought, I just wish we'd attack more, wish we'd do more in the game. I wish we wouldn't be so passive. And I do sense that we're trying to adapt to that, and I respect that a lot. If I'm right in saying that's what we're trying to do, I can accept defeats like this fully, as long as we don't go down, because I do feel that it's, like you said, a step back to leap forward. I'm not worried by that at all. I just think we need to trust that process more sometimes. Maybe
we need a win though, just to alleviate. Just because you don't want to be on a run, you don't want to get on a run of defeats or not winning.
The table
over a couple of wins, and then if you regress a bit, then just to keep things so you don't get. Because the pressure starts to build then, and then you start trying too hard to try and fix it, and I don't want to. That's what I worry. That's the bit I worry about. You get into, much like winning is a habit, so can losing be. So you don't want to end up getting into that.
The danger is, of course, the game on Saturday, isn't it? I mean that's
set up to lose. That is. That's just the classic setup. Wolves. That's just a standard classic Wolves major fart up, where they just fall apart against.
So is that a pre-Nuno Wolves, pre-Fosun Wolves, or post?
It is. Well, not pre-Fosun, but I think pre-Nuno maybe. But well, no, actually no, because we've had some ropey cup ties against where we're meant to be winning. Or thought, we're going in as the clear favourites, which we are going in as the clear favourites. That's not me just going, that's because it's West Brom. It's purely, we are clear favourites in this one. I mean, in the past we haven't been, but today, this at this moment, we are the clear favourites and should be expecting to win it. But, but it will be their cup final. Or it's certainly, I mean, especially with Sam Allardyce in charge now, that's how he'll put it to them. That's their big game. You win this one.
You're out of it. If you win this, we will stay up. That's the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to happen. They will absolutely kick us from pillar to post. They will be cynical and they will lump the ball in. I don't think they're necessarily a side that would normally do that, but I think in this game coming up, they will.
I think the danger, though, if you're not a side who can do that, I mean, Neil Warnock teams are expert at that. That if you're good at it, you end up getting the other player booked, because you basically roll them enough. If you're not good at it, then the first challenge is a straight red. It depends, and I think the refereeing in the Premier League, I don't think you can hide to the degree with VAR. you're too scrutinised. So I think you don't want to dive. I mean, diving is just stupid and counterproductive. You know, there's an argument that people talk about Jack Grealish, but he is tagged, he is hit, and he makes it theatrical. And if he could make it natural, he'd be world class. The thing is, you carry on playing football, and you've got to, the first few ones, you've got to let the ref make the decisions. You can't be looking to go down, because the referee is going to be looking for that as much as he's looking for bad challenges. So, and as soon as you set in his mind, although they are, let's face it, they are professionals, they're much better than I am at spotting these things, but they're going to base their decisions on what they see, the tempo of the game, all those factors come in. So don't make it hard for the ref to give you the decision, play through it. So you want to play your strongest, mentally strong players who have got level heads, and I think it's a game where hopefully Neves, he can get a bit hot-headed very, very rarely. Certainly did in the Championship once or twice. Yeah, and I just hope he's an old man now at 23. I hope his level head shows.
I'll tell you what, though. I thought tonight he was the midfield. I'll be honest, I don't think the other two performed brilliantly.
No, I agree. He is key.
But
he
was absolutely on it tonight. He was the midfield. I think Moutinho can't play past 50 minutes. The first half, he was all right in the first half, absolutely fine in the first half, but no, and it's shown in a few games now. He can't play out a game. And I thought the biggest criticism for me tonight is that we left the subs too late, much too late. Silva, who again I actually thought played very well tonight. Actually, I thought in a more fluid front line where he was allowed to go out to the right and stuff like that. He looked, was he on the right? No, left. Anyway, drifting out anyway, where he wasn't always the main centre point. He played some nice play, some really nice play, and he was a useful player. I didn't think he played well in the game before. Game before that, he played all right. He's 18.
I think I don't expect any.
No, I don't. No, I thought tonight he was worth his place for again 60 minutes, but he looked absolutely knackered by about 60 minutes. Again,
which is
not
fine.
Physically. Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
which is fine, yeah. And
that's
should have
been off about 5-10 minutes. Yeah, and that's my real criticism for the evening. Is he should have come off a good 10 minutes beforehand because he just couldn't get places.
It's like a good meal, isn't it? It's same with football. If you know you're going to make the substitute, you want to leave them wanting more, rather than feeling I'm so stuffed I can't move anymore. You always, and you don't, and really it's that. It's almost like a gambling thing where I'm going to chase black one more time. You've got to say, okay, they've got they've got the analysis data. They should be able to see his heart rate isn't coming down, and that they've got all the data. They've got the feedback directly. They should know. They've got it should be an easy decision. It should be an easy decision.
But as I say, I'm not sure that it's the actual physical side of it that's gone. I think it's his mental side. And can you if they are only looking at data coming in from a physical sense, is that why they're leaving them on too long? Because they're not noticing. I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know. But I do think that around the time that Haver came on, we probably could have made at least 2 substitutions there, and either.
Yeah, no, he never does. He very rarely makes 2. You can tell when he's planning to change the shape because he changes one and then he changes the other.
I wasn't actually against. I thought whoever coming on, is it whoever or Haver or Hoover? I don't know.
I no idea.
I'm never quite sure. So
a great player from Dutch from Denmark, not Denmark, Holland.
But I thought him coming on wasn't necessarily a bad idea. and then we would obviously put Silva more centrally. But I would have thought at the same time you'd bring on Cutrone as well.
Yeah.
And then Silva, and then maybe go 2 up front with 1 behind instead, and play wing backs.
Yeah. Yeah, I wondered about that as well.
Because then at least Cutrone can bully, and I do think Cutrone adds something. He does, because he does harry more, and he just generally he's further ahead in his development. It's as simple as that. So he's going to go. He's making I noticed he was making runs that Silva wasn't. Silva kind of drops into space nice, but doesn't kind of anticipate runs through, which I noticed when Cutrone came on. First thing he was doing was making runs in behind defenders.
Yeah,
and that gives defenders something to think about.
It does, and it's exactly. Yeah, I think that's the key thing, because if you're playing up front, you get, until you train your team to say that's where I want it, that's where I want it. You make the runs. In analysis, it's an easy to see. I'm doing my job. I want the ball there, and if I don't make it, that's down to me, or you might have misweighted and great for making the ball. But if you just then play backwards, I'm still going to make the run, but I'll be offside then, and that means you're going to delay. So, but it comes down to whether the strategy or the tactics of the game are keep the possession until you've overloaded in this area, and if you've got an overload, you're going to then do this, and then we'll go for goal. You kind of have to play to what sometimes you have to respect your talent and say, I want it there, and I want it there in that situation. Strikers are famed for being what's the phrase? Greedy, I think, is the lazy word, but I think they know where their strengths are, and you've got to respect that. You can't make.
I'll be honest. I don't have a problem with a striker that's classed as greedy. That's what they're there to do. And I like a striker to be greedy because it means they believe in their own ability.
Well, Raul's very greedy. There's a number of times where you think, why didn't he just lay it off?
I mean, there's times I've absolutely castigated, but realistically, I do prefer a striker to be greedy because, to be honest, what I don't want to be seeing them is hesitating in front of goal, thinking, "Oh, can someone else have this?" No, they should be bang. It should be just an instant.
Yeah. You've got to pressure the keeper, haven't you? And you've got to, like you said, you give the defenders. I think you said you give the defenders something to think about, and there's nothing greater if you're a defender than knowing that once you've set up your lines of 4, they're going to play back. That means it's the midfield's job. Like you can take a step up and then you reset. Whereas if you watch the good sides play, the Man Cities, the Liverpools, they're always looking to pressure that defence, which pushes the line back further and further. And they'll lose the ball, maybe 2 in 3, 1 in 3, but they're committed to win it back because they're so. You often see the thing is just clear it, because they're not mentally set up to try and play it out, because they've lost it so far back.
But that's what we've lost, not having Traore on the pitch. Because that's what he does. He does. I mean, I get so annoyed with people who keep saying, "Oh, he's rubbish. He's not good. Oh, he's rubbish. He's rubbish. He's rubbish." He's not rubbish. If he was rubbish, they wouldn't put 2, 3 men on him.
No,
they just leave it 1-on-1 because they know it's 1-on-1. He's rubbish. He's not going to do anything with it. They put 2, 3 men on it. What I really hope to see soon is Traore and Cutrone played, because I think they will work well together.
Getting players in the box when he crosses. Well, I mean, if he's got 2 options. He can either cut in and shoot, and you kind of think, why doesn't he do that more often? You kind of get the impression he's been told not to. That leaves the option of going down the line. And then if he puts the ball in, people have got to be there. I mean, I'd like to see Cutrone, Dendoncker, and I don't know how you do this, but Otasowie, Dendoncker bombing into the box, Cutrone already there. And you think, well, those are 2 really powerful headers of the ball.
I'd rather see Dendoncker just sit defensively, because the amount of chances he's getting, and he's just absolutely
he's missed them. Yeah.
I mean, he gets up and down great, and he does all that side of it brilliantly. But my God, has he got absolutely no sort of, or certainly seems to have no finishing ability at all at the moment. He really doesn't.
Maybe it's Saiz we need up there.
Yeah, oh, I love Saiz, so yeah, basically. But yeah, it's such a shame because he does get into good positions. Don't get me wrong, but oh my,
he's actually, it's quite funny because he's missed so many chances, and you can go back actually over the years. He's missed so many chances compared to recent forwards who we've acquired, and yeah, you're right. I mean, but I do think that attacking that ball that Traore can put in is the key to absolute joy. And like you say, Traore will play it off, and maybe he needs to do that quicker, and then players move it quicker from him. But I mean, like the last two players out of the position.
In the last two games, definitely been doing that sort of thing. He's been a lot more moving the ball, not always having to take it to the box, or like you say, move it, lay it off to someone and then run into space, sort of thing. He's done a lot more of that. It's such a shame he's injured himself. It really is.
Well, he's people always put their prejudices onto their criticisms, and I as if we're going to have a squad of even 20 first-time players, he's got to be in there, hasn't he? It's a no-brainer. It really is.
Absolutely.
And when we're short of offensive play, I mean, let's face it. You want to see him on the ball, don't you? You get excited when he's on the ball.
Absolutely.
Even if it's in our third and you think he's going to drive here. And I think he did against Palace. He went through our third, their third, final third. I can't remember what happened, but he's got that ability to carry the ball. And that can completely take the pressure off you. And if you can get to any result like a throw in a corner or a shot off, you've done more than you think of the other option for clearance where people will just clear it, either an aimed ball up to somebody marked by a bit, and I'm going back to the Mark McGee years and Colin Lee years, where you think, why are we hoofing the ball in the air to our 5'10" forwards marked by 6'3" defenders, and they don't even have to jump,
Yeah, they just stand above them.
I'd far rather see.
It's like when we put Podence in as the false nine, and we still tried to keep putting high balls across the box, and you're like.
Well, there was that classic one when he scored a headed goal. He leapt like a salmon and still only reached somebody's head chest height.
Absolutely.
A great player, but
absolutely. Well, that's the thing. When we've got all our attacking, we've got Neto, we've got Podence, we've got Traore. All can carry the ball at pace, well, not kicking ahead. Not as I think Alexander Arnold for Liverpool, who kicks the ball about 5 foot in front of him and just runs after it at speed. I'm talking close, controlled dribbling at speed. They bloody well move quickly with the ball. And if you've got three players like that, why are we even worrying about putting it in the air? You don't need to. That's going to cause most centre halves an absolute nightmare. And the thing is, it'll tire. It's like we go back to mental toughness. That even the most experienced defender, if you've got someone running at you with the ball continually like that, that is going to tire you out. It really is. You were saying earlier, when they put the ball over and it's like, they've set up their line. Oh, we'll head it away. They'll do that all day.
Yeah. Whereas if you play a ball into space, where you think, I've got to, if he gets that ball before me, he's away. So you have to make the challenge, and the ideal one is they get the ball and they're away. But the other two options is they tackle and it typically goes out for a throwing if you can get in the right area, or it's a foul.
Yeah, the potential for penalties is unbound. It's like you keep running into the box.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I just think we need to do more. We need to risk losing the ball more in that final third, trying to achieve some kind of outcome to an attack. The ones every time you kind of lose the ball where the keeper hasn't been worked or you haven't had a shot, you kind of failed. I mean, really, if you were, I'm sure greater minds than mine have done this, but if we lose the ball and they can then counter or they can then take time and then develop a build-up of play, if we've had a sustained period of pressure, you've got to say that's a complete failure of that pressure. It's a complete waste of time, because you at no point have you've achieved literally nothing in that period of play other than to burn the clock down. And if that's the strategy, then I don't think many people would be happy with that. You win goals by scoring. You win games by scoring more goals than the opposition.
Yeah.
And if as we've seen, it only takes a minute for somebody to attack and commit, and then it might be your hands up to protect your face, like Doherty against, I think it was Burnley last year, or it might just be a mistimed turning off and somebody gets in behind. If you've wasted your opportunities to put that game to bed, and this is what everyone's saying, then you can't go, we're unlucky or it's unfortunate. You've got to say, yeah, we were bad. We had the ball for 67% of the time. We did. How many shots do we have on target? None of X. How did they have?
Oh yeah.
It's simple. Yes, you're better off winning the ball if you've got, and again, if you've got pace, you're better off winning the ball and countering. So there's a possession game's great, but there's got to be outcome. It's like get biblical, the parable of the talents, where one guy buries it, one guy does this, one guy does that. The message is use what you've got. Don't bury it in the ground. Use it. And I feel that
an abundance of talent there. I
exactly.
really do think we have absolute abundance of talent. The thing is, if we're going to play, like you say, with the possession and don't do anything with it is one thing. But we surely we can afford, because we play a system set up on defence. Surely we can afford, with those 4 players essentially going forward, to be able, they can lose the ball, because you should have enough players behind them to be able to deal with it. That's the bit I don't get. I mean, it's like we can only ever have 2 people go into the box, and everyone else has got to sit a bit further back out of the box, and then the rest have got to sit right further back again. It's like that doesn't win games. And again, and not this game, but previous games, when we get the 1 goal ahead and we stop doing what we were doing to get the 1 goal to try and defend it. And you're like, well, we weren't doing anything wrong. We weren't in any trouble. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just carry on doing what you were doing, because obviously it's something right, because you've scored for it.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, in amongst also that sort of mental tiredness the second half, did we change the formation or the tactics a little? Because in the first half we had a real tempo to our passing, which slowed in the second half. Now, again, is that mental tiredness? Is it not? It shouldn't be for a whole team to be mentally tired. Some of the young ones who haven't played at this level or for very long or been injured, okay, I understand. But the rest of them, no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't at all. Especially not 65 minutes into the game.
You do wonder whether it's. I mean, I think you raise a point. It might be there's a lot of young players, and if you're under tight instruction, without having a culture of you can try this, you can make mistakes. I trust you. This is how we want you to play, or even we'll play for periods or phases like this, and there'll be times when go off the leash a bit. But I think you've hit it, and that is one of the things. I think we're a very well drilled side, but the consequence, and we see that when players take a long time to get near the first team because they're being drilled into the ways.
Yeah.
Tactically, technically, we may be very good. It doesn't make it great to watch though from a fan's perspective, which we'll always, that's our job to kind of. Did I enjoy that? But like the first half, I'd agree. I thought, great, this is what I want to see. And if I would rather it becomes a bit end to end the basketball game, because I mean, especially if we've got Traore on the pitch, because you trust him to say, yeah, just you go. That's exactly when you want. So the elements are there. You kind of feel like it's a matter of trusting the recipe will work, and just trust the team, give them time. And I just hope that Nuno. I think you can see he's trying to change it, and I just hope he carries on with this progression and goes a bit more offensive when we can.
Well, I mean, I think definitely the formation for me tonight was the right formation. As I say, well, it showed in the first half. I think all it is for me, it was the second half, is we dropped the tempo, and we've in too many games. And some people think when I say we dropped the tempo, I mean players aren't hair-arsing round running as fast as they can. I don't mean that. I mean, what I'm talking about is the speed at which they knock the ball around to each other, even if they are just knocking it across the back line. It's got to have zip across, zip across the pitch.
You've got to make them think.
Not these sort of balls where they kind of go and then they just, by the time they get to the player, the ball's almost stopped rolling. That's no good. That just sets the whole message is wrong.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And it comes down to that pressure on the opposition. If you're moving the ball quickly, they've got to think, why are they doing that?
Yeah. Where are they going?
Yeah. As if it's slow, they can go, what are we doing? Are we going down the pub tonight? Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's just a rather. It's like it's all about. You want to make sure the mental pressure is on the opposition. Yeah. You want to. It's that kind of. I do technical training as part of my job, and you're trained when you're training to be a trainer that you can't have people being relaxed. You've got to have them a bit edgy, because that's when they learn.
Keeps them alert.
Yeah, and maybe I'm contradicting myself here. Maybe that's the plan. But it's not like that when you've got 10 people and you think and they're waiting for you to make the mistake. You want to flip that. You want to get it so that they make the mistake. And like you say, you move the ball fast. A player gets it. He knows it's going to come to him. The whole team has to reorientate. You move it again, then move it, and there'll be one guy who's slow moving into the new position.
Just
then you
one
go.
slip, one mistake, and then there's your opening, and then you go
for it then, and you push it. Yeah. You push it, you lose the ball, you win it, and then you go again. What you don't do is then, as soon as they've kind of partially recovered, you back off. No, you push that, and then you've got to try and have an outcome. For me, that's there's got to be more outcome to the game. We are missing.
But it is. There's like this, like you say. If you knock the ball round the area, and you just keep knocking the ball around the area, and then eventually you make a mistake, you lose it. You potentially have a break against you. To be honest, for me, sometimes have a shot. Have a shot.
God, yes.
A shot might deflect off someone, get a corner. It might bounce off someone and go in the goal. It could do many, many things. But just putting it sideways and back and every time. I don't mind sometimes. Sometimes you want to reorganize, reshape, and go at a different angle. But if you've got a position where you can like have a shot or drive into the area, do it. And like you say, if you lose it sometimes, you lose it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And it comes down to Jota, that people say, oh, he's a streaky player. No, he's just been told, attack, go for goal. He's not told when he gets the ball, turn around and look behind you to see who you can pass it for. He's told, you attack in this team. The way we
Yeah, that's
play
your job.
is we attack.
Yeah, you're an attacker. That's your job.
You attack. Yeah.
There's people behind you to do everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of teams, it comes down to, that, I mean, it is, let's be honest, it is about that ability to finish. But to be brutally honest, we can talk about natural finisher, but you've probably played football. I've played football. I know from personal experience, if you put the effort in, no matter what level that you are, you will get better at what you do. And the example I always use is I had a knee injury on my right leg, right-footed. So I thought, I can run around. I just can't I can't, take that ball on the side pressure where it knocks it like that. So I'm gonna have to take it on the left
I had
and shoot with
exactly
the
this.
left.
I had exactly the same injury, and I
I
did
think I talked
exactly
about
the
this.
same thing. Learned how to kick with my left foot,
Yeah, and
and
it
I
makes
can now.
such a difference.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, if there's any young
And
kids happen to be watching this at the moment, and you play football, learn to play kick with your weak foot, because it will give you so much time on the ball. Unbelievable.
It changes the entire way
Absolutely.
you can play. So I don't accept. I mean, at a technical level, with they can't train all day. They can only you can only physically train so long.
Yeah.
But I cannot accept at a professional level that and the Cody made a great comment. I thought his left leg was standing on. That comment is almost unacceptable to me in football, because
I've always thought the same.
It's almost like, if you can't do this, this, and this, then you practice it until you can. Almost. It's a technical level of skill that you can develop muscle memory for.
Exactly. We're not expecting them to be able to be amazing, but you should be proficient enough to kick with your other foot.
Exactly. Yeah,
that is just practice. Yeah, you just learn that.
Yeah. And the great thing is, when you do come back from injury and you then play, you think, oh, I'll just shoot with my left this time. And because I found, because it's not my stronger foot, I place it better. Yeah. I don't try and just blast it.
You think about it more. I think you actually are. You're not leaving it to. Yeah, you're not leaving it to like just natural sort of. That's where I normally get. You actually do it. Yeah, I know exactly what I mean.
At the level we're talking, I mean, the other anecdote I'd say is the level we're talking about. Again, this is five-a-side, where it was a work team, and we had a guy who he'd played one game for West Ham, one game, and he spent a lot of time at Bournemouth, Rushden and Diamonds, lower leagues, and we're about 36, 7, 8, so he'd finished for 4 or 5 years playing football. We were playing a team who were younger and fitter than us, and they would like go 3, 4, 5 goals up ahead from us, and then he'd go, they're a bit too far ahead, and I'm not kidding you. Anywhere on the five-a-side pitch, he'd go bang goal, bang goal, bang goal. Right, now we'll carry on playing football. They'd get 4 or 5 goals ahead. He'd go bang, 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 bang. That's the difference we're talking about. So technical ability, these guys have it. They just need to go for it. I think a bit more. That we need to play the percentages. We're not talking about committing the farm. We're talking about, we'll lose, and the defenders midfield will have to do some work. And I do feel it's so close. I'm not. I'm kind of disappointed in the sense, this season, but I'm more positive about this season than last, despite the great Europa. Yeah, it was Europa, wasn't it? God, it seems a million years away. But I'm more positive because we are trying to change and develop, and I always respect that. If you're trying to improve something, it's not going to work from day one. Like vaccine rollouts, give it time to ramp up. Everything takes time to align and get ready. But just if we carry on like this, I do think the players are there to click.
I think if the base level of performance is the first half, and then it clicks, and we've got a couple of players back, we'll absolutely tonk somebody. I mean, well, actually, we probably won't, because we'll probably get to about 2 and then sit. But if we stop doing that as well, that literally, I think every one of these I've done, I've said, please, can we stop doing that?
Yes.
Obviously, I'll never get my wish, but
I've never seen
I,
that.
I live. I live. I live. No, I don't. I don't think. I think. I mean, you can get away with it, but and yes, we've got it. We got away with it against Sheffield United, and look what they're playing. So, that's the only one where we really profit. Well, I know someone will say, "Oh yeah, no, there's this one and there's this one," but it's not. It's not. It's not a safe way of playing, is it? Really?
No. I think if you're going to play that way, you need world-class defenders and world-class. Well, we've got one world-class defensive midfielder, and we've got some very good defenders, but you're playing against world-class attackers as well.
Yeah.
It's just
and
not
even
a
then,
bright
it's
strategy.
but it's like you're just saying about percentages. It's the percentage-wise. If you keep giving the opposite, if you sit back against a team and keep giving them opportunities, eventually they will score. That's just
exactly. It's a flip of
that's
what
just
we've
the
been
way
saying.
it is. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
exact flip of what we've been saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's something that is very annoying. Is you play up against a team. Well, I think it was Brighton the way we were playing. They looked devoid of confidence and stuff like that. We sit back, and they start get back in their stride. They kind of start knocking it about nicely, and they get back in the game.
And of course,
but
then you've got to pick it up. Then
exactly,
you're in that position.
Yeah, and it's hard to pick it back up. That's
especially
the
when
thing.
you've only got 5 or 10 minutes or even worse, 2 or 1 minute left to do it. It's I don't, to me it's if you're America and you're fighting a small country and you're having trouble, you just carpet bomb them. You don't say let's send in ground troops let's give our ground troops knives because they're not very good. We'll go in with knives and see if we can. You say no, just carpet bomb them. We're not losing anything.
We'll sit there and let them rearm. That's what we'll do.
Yeah. You just you and again, it's about goal difference. Well, didn't we miss out on something because of goal difference once or twice?
Playoffs. We've missed out on a playoffs on goal difference in the past.
So,
that was pre Nuno though. But
so why would you do that? Why wouldn't you look at that and go, we need to score goals? We've got them on the ropes. No disrespect to that team. We need goals.
I have heard once, and I don't know how true it is. Probably not at all. I have heard before that there's like a convention that if you're basically tonking someone, about 4 or 5 goals, you sit back, you don't try and score anymore, out of respect. And I was like, what an absolute load of old twaddle! If you're absolutely dominating, keep scoring.
I think there's an element of
that's for me. That for me shows a disrespect to your fans if you do that.
Well, it also shows that you're not very professional unless you've got like a plus 50, unless you're 50 goals or 10 goals ahead of anybody else. It shows that you're not professional, because if I'm the owner of the club and then we miss out by 1 goal difference, I'm going to say, so just, I spoke to you after that game. You said, well, we eased off because they can start kicking and risking fouls. And I said, well, why didn't you play a few kids then? Keep the pressure up and try and score a few more. Oh, and then if you come back with that answer, I'm going to say, hold on. Our job is to finish as high as we can. Our job is not, there's professional courtesy. And you see it with, he's tried a fancy flick and he's got kicked for it. Well, if you can give somebody time to do something fancy and clever, then it says a lot about you. If you can do the neat moves, bim, 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 the showboating, isn't it? That's what they always call it, showboating. Well,
I hate that. I encourage it personally.
Yeah.
If you can do it,
do it exactly. And if somebody fouls,
I remember the incident years ago when Rooney made, was it Darren Moore at West Brom look a bit of a fool because Rooney was 16 and he basically had a lot of skill. And I was like, there was outrage that, it's a disgrace and all this. I was like, how is it a disgrace? The kid's got a load of bags of ability and skill, and he's used it on a pitch. Okay, he might have made you look stupid, but you should be applauding the fact that he's got.
Yeah, but Darren Moore, a great deal of time for Darren Moore, great player. But let's face it, he was a particular type of player. He was a great physical presence, and that means that if you put someone like Neto or somebody with skill, he's going to probably tie you up in knots because that's his game. Now, if Rooney can do, and Rooney's was a physical presence when he came onto the scene anyway. So if Rooney can do that, how all if they can do that, and you foul them, and they say, well, it was showboating. No, if they're that much better than you, as fans, as owners, as everybody else, we want to see that. It's a bit like in the, I think it's the Euros, you tend to see it in the qualifying games where you're playing San Marino, hammer them 37-0. If you're saying why are they playing, hammer them 40-0. Don't ease off a 5-1. If you're that much better than them, I want to see that. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in, oh, well, we'll just back off.
That's the wrong mentality for me.
Yeah, and if you're saying, well, they're not good enough to be playing against us, all you have to do, in every club, is you utterly hammer them into the ground.
Show them why. They shouldn't be.
Otherwise, you know what? If it's only 5 or 6 or 7-0, they deserve to be there, and you play them every 2 years.
Well, the other thing is as well, if you think about it, if you're going to ease off because you have it's professional courtesy and all that. When one of their players dives in the box and gets a penalty, was that professional courtesy? No, it wasn't. So forget all that. Get on with it. But anyway, at that point, I think we need to discuss the upcoming game.
I don't like making predictions, but we have to win. No, we don't.
Yes.
I'm not going to say. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, I think we do. I actually think we do. I think morale-wise, that would be a bit of a blow. I think.
So if we lose, do we sack? So where I'm coming from is we're not going to sack the manager if we lose.
No.
Or are we?
No.
Okay.
We're not going to sack the manager this season. Full stop.
Right. In which case, my standard position, I look for performances, and I have to say, against West Brom, I do feel it's a matter of scoring the first goal. If you let them score the first goal, they will, and in fairness, I'm not saying at this level, everyone says, oh, they're a poor team. They're in the Premier League. They got there because they were the best of the 3 in that league. They've earned their right to be here. Whatever, we can all, if we were being in the pub having a laugh and being disparaging, we could be there. The differences are not as great as we probably would like to think.
No, not at all.
So it's not like playing Chorley, which is will be another conversation. So we can't go into this thinking that it's a given.
Liverpool probably did that, and that's why when they came out with a draw.
So
exactly, they got a draw.
Yeah. So let's be exactly just about exactly. So I would look for a 2-0 would suit. Any win would suit me. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, any win.
What I don't want to see is if we score first, it's not to sit back. Because if we sit back and give them confidence, we'll get in trouble.
We won't.
Because we always do.
And the game plan's easy. Get your biggest players on. Get anyone with pace and launch the ball in. Because they know that we'll just sit back and just keep giving them that opportunity to get that goal. Yeah. You don't even have to commit your whole team forward, do you?
No.
You just need 3 or 4 players who can run. They've got a fast defender, I think. The game plan right. See, if the game plan writes itself, it means you haven't been able to counter it. So you have. This is a game where they're not going to accept they're defeated until the whistle goes. If they score if it's 2-0 and they score in the 96th minute of 6 minutes of extra time, and the ref adds 30 seconds on for kickoff, they're going to think
keep the ball the other end. Passing around the other end of the pitch, not around the defence.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, three goals in the first half, and they'll be demoralised.
Well, I remember when Dave Jones was manager, he seemed to win a lot 3-0, and there'd be a period of time where bang, 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 and that was it, game over.
They'd play for about 10 or 15 minutes and be great in that 10 or 15 minutes, and usually, like you say, score 2 or 3 goals, and that was the end. The rest of the game, they generally struggled.
Yeah.
I remember
But yeah,
distinctly
three
that. It
nil
was
up.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like 1-0 up. You don't, you can you can have the ball all you like at 1-0 up. One mistake and it's back to square
yeah.
one. And of course,
Bar
then,
decision.
as you said,
There you are. There you go.
and
The
this is
crack
the
bar
ultimate,
decision. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
ultimate game for that. So I'm going to say, of all the, if we won't win 1-0, I don't think. There's only one team going to win 1-0. It ain't going to be us. So I've got to say 2-0, 3-0. I'm going to say I'll go 2-0 to us because we've got to score more than one. Ideally, like you say, three or more. We whether they score, if we've got three and they score one, I'm not too bothered. We've seen a 3-3 recently, but we backed off, and that's the lessons are all there. They can all sit and do their homework. The lessons are there. You have
I
got to
fear they're going to
stay.
keep. I think watching again. I go back to Semedo and him being a 50-50 player. I think they will play a lot of balls over the top of Semedo's head because that certainly does seem to be his weak point.
But if you play,
In behind him.
I feel this is more made for Hoovier because he's a bit more physical presence. He does. It's whether you know that he's mentally there to handle the knocks, the niggles, the abuse is going to. Every player's going to get. I'm not saying Albion are going to obvious. They're a nasty team. I'm just saying you're going to say to them, "This is the game you do the niggles in."
Exactly. Big Sam's he's a wily competitor. He knows what to do.
I'm not judging the West Brom players at all. I'm just saying
No.
this
Oh
is.
no, I
This is
don't
the
think
team.
so. I think in this game they will be.
And I think his physical, and I think Marcal is made for this game if he's fit. I don't know. I think he's out though still, isn't he?
Who, sorry?
Marcal.
Oh, Marcal. Yes. Yeah, he would be. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe
Because he's a bit. Yeah. It's just
would be nice for us.
it's experience really you need here.
Yeah.
Switched on experience.
Or physicality. I like with Hoovier over Semedo. I think. You could even play if Draw is out Semedo in front of Hoovier. I'm not saying that wouldn't work. Yeah. I just think you need to be, the young players like Neves is a young player. Just need to keep their heads and take the knocks. You just got to take them. You just got to get on with it. And you've got to keep that tempo up. You can't play their game.
No.
They're professional footballers. They will be, they're not as bad as people make out. They might be missing a bit of confidence, but this is an easy team talk for Sam. Any West Brom fan could do the team talk unless they're completely inarticulate. Can do the team talk for this one.
I fear that Neto might be injured.
Yeah.
That his knee's actually he's done his knee. I think he might have done his knee. I really am concerned. The way he was holding that and the way they were looking at it, he may well have done his knee because that was a very really cynical challenge. I mean, there was that. You see, those are the sort of challenges that annoy me because for me, that's a red card. Not because it's dangerous, because it's just there was never any intention of playing the ball. Never. So that's not even. If they do it by mistake, if they're or a slightly late challenge, it's a yellow card. Yeah, yellow card, and they even get red cards. But that sort of challenge where they've got, it's just. It's almost like bringing the game into disrepute. It's just so not. You never even thought about the ball there. You've just gone over and kicked someone essentially.
Yeah.
If he just walked up to Neto while the ball off the ball and just kicked him in the leg, he'd be sent off. And for me, that's all that was because he was not even remotely trying to get the ball. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he didn't even try and hide it.
Yeah, my initial reaction was red card, but I think by the laws of the game, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I know.
It is definitely a yellow.
But that's the sort of one that's a sort of cynical challenge that I would like to see. Just if you make it a red card, they'll stop doing it.
The one thing I'd say to temper that is that then how many players would be sent off for Grealish? Because a lot of players know he's past them, so they just
Well,
put
I
the leg
think
in.
true, but he also has no studs on his boots, so he does like to fall over when the wind blows
Yeah, I mean, the one who for
any
me,
direction away
yeah,
from the
I
pole
mean,
tennis sort of thing.
and again going back, putting this in the West Brom context, if there's any doubt with Neto, I think Neto is such a valuable player, and this
Yeah,
is it's one of those where I would almost say if you think I'd rather not start him and bring him on when people are on yellows than
yeah.
start him because I think he's so special.
Oh
And
God, we
Drury,
can't have him. We can't have him, Podence, and Traore out. You
no,
need at least one of them on the pitch.
well, I mean, well, this is the dilemma then, isn't it? Because Traore wasn't played. Maybe that was to protect him for the West Brom game. Podence, I think, is
Yeah,
still out, isn't he?
yeah.
We're literally down to what now? If Neto can't play and Traore can't play and Podence can't play, wow! I mean, let's
I
talk
think
about how.
well, if that was the case, I would personally be putting Petroni and Silva in the middle as a pair, and then use wing backs.
Yeah,
And just put stuff in for two strikers in the box because
I'll
Silva
play that.
shows
Yeah,
still, and I think that they two could work really well. Catroni likes to run in behind players and hustle and bustle, or seems to like hustle and bustle more. Silva seems to like to drop into space, so they should really dovetail nicely. And then if you've
I
got
don't
some wing
disagree.
back, and you've got someone like Ait Nori, who is a good attacking wing back, Semedo the other side, a good attacking wing back, or like you were saying before, you push them up and put them up and play someone else at the back, like whoever at the back or something like that, maybe. You could, if we've got Kilman. Kilman could come in.
Kilman, yeah. I mean,
Size could play more as an orthodox left back. You could play whoever as a right back. You could then push Nori and Smedo forwards, play two in the middle, or something like that. I don't know exactly what, but something
What I
like
would
that.
hate to think though is I don't like playing players when they're injured because you want to avoid that, and you look at games and think I'm not. And again, I'm not saying the West Brom players would go out to do this, but with the team talk and the occasion,
Yeah.
especially if it was the right game with crowds in, where the atmosphere can get to the players
Oh God,
sometimes,
yeah. Well, I
and they can
suppose
do
that's a
things which
benefit.
yeah. So I do think I'm not. I don't want to say that West Brom players are dirty. I've no evidence or belief in that. I think they've, I'm not saying that, but I don't think in this situation you want to risk a player who he might not be up to the physical challenge that's there for this game. Again, it will come down to you've got to trust the club with the analysis, the medical facilities they have to make that decision. But I could see that you might have to say, well, do we do we do we play Neto with a knock? Do we play Traore when it's not 100%? And if you do, you'd rather see them as subs than starters,
Yeah.
which in a way I think makes the starters' job easier if you say just go for it, just go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
you could play you could have a front three of Petroni, Silva, and then Petroni, Silva, and then just have Bettina sit behind them.
yeah, yeah. And
Could
when
do. That's another option.
I would like if Neto's not on, I'd like to see. I think Otasawi, his physical presence could be useful if you've got cover back and experience behind him and with him.
Yeah.
It's all about that balance, and you run out of players eventually when the more younger players you put on. And again, it might be a game where it comes down to: do you think if we're 2-3 up, then it's perfect for Moutinho to come on and do that job, but you don't want to give a low tempo game
No,
and
I
get
wouldn't.
some
I'll
big
be
goals
honest.
behind.
I wouldn't start with Moutinho. I just
No, I
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
I'd rather him. I'll be honest. I think now, if he's just too many games now where he the last two games he's looked great in the first half and just totally disappears in the second because it's just time. That's just what happens. Unfortunately, that is what has happened to him.
What he's great at is he's great at that technical side of the game, And I'm going to contradict myself here. Whereas where Nuno has brought him on to try and hold on to a lead, but you need to shift the emphasis. He is very good at absorbing pressure,
Yeah,
but you
you want
kind
that
of
up the
almost
other end of the pitch.
you want another option. You wanted to be able to switch. So I mean, he is quality and class, but I just time. You can never escape time,
No.
and the other side of it is you always look to exploit weaknesses. If you're not going to say, yeah, this guy is a fox. He's going to harry you. Don't try too much close control. Just drive past him. Just drive past him and move the ball on.
Yeah.
You're not going to say try a fancy trick or two because he's a bit slow. His feet are still quick. He's still going to be able to nick the ball. But what he'll struggle with is continually you driving past him. And I think we saw that with Watford, was it a few years ago? Where they
Yeah.
just drove through the midfield.
Yeah, and that's definitely happening to him in games at the moment.
Yeah.
Like you say, he's going and harrying and getting the ball in that sort of close-up stuff. But as soon as if you want to put the ball around him and just go, and generally they go just a sidestep round, and while you're in full flow, and that's it.
So you want to play to
They
your
go on
players'
and
strengths, not the
absolutely.
opposition.
If he comes on, he has to come on as the third. I think the one behind the strikers. I don't want him coming on to play a defensive midfield role where, like you say, someone's just going to drive past him. If someone drives past him and he's up the other end of the pitch, it's less of a problem, and because they've still got a whole pitch to clear. If they drive past him in a defensive midfield, they're within shooting range,
Yeah,
or let somewhere so they can lay it off. So
yeah,
up the
and
other end
that's
of the
where you
pitch,
want someone. I mean, I'm not saying Ottosar is ready, but his physicality of,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely,
the big skill you need to develop there is you don't rush in a challenge. You
yeah.
just track them and the old Stuart Pearce of, you think, is this guy going to clatter me at a moment's notice?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't touch them then. You make them think that if you turn into me, you're in next week. You've got to play a bit more with your head as a manager than your heart or or looking at the stat book from 3 years back. I'm a great believer in we're preparing a team for the future, and you need the old heads there. You need that
Yeah, you
experience.
need, you need you need some experience in there to teach the others and just calm them down on the pitch.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't have to be a
especially
vocal calming down. It can just be just by example.
yeah, and
You look
Neves is
around and
doing that now. I think
yeah,
this is a game where because Neves can get it. He's. I'd like to see a player with a bit of an edge, and Neves certainly can do that. And I'd like to see that controlled and focused in this game, because he's. I mean, I think ever since he's come to the Premier League, even when he's had bad games, etc., etc., you can see what he was trying to do and how he's developed as a player, and
yeah,
he's just getting better and better and better game by game. It's obvious now. I think it was obvious before when he was being criticised because his game was. It's not about the shots. If you get that from Neves on top, then you know you're
yeah.
dominant
That's
because he's
just
over the
it
pitch.
is. It is it's a bonus.
Yeah. So I think I would like to see this one. This is one where Neves. You got Cody, who's always going to. I mean, it's great with no fans in to hear when you hear how much he is organising. I mean, it's astounding. So you've got a core there, two players in the spine. When you had Raul there, you had a complete spine for Rui through to Raul of experience. We're missing that obviously up top. Catroni's got a bit more experience. So it's a team to. This is a game you don't place sentiment in, or you don't, and you're brutally honest about what you expect. And I'm not saying West Brom are going to foul us off the pitch. I'm just saying we know what the team talk is going to be. So
Yeah,
let's make sure that we're prepared for and have the intensity levels that we need. We can't have let's have half an hour off in the game and pass it around and not do anything because
yeah,
they will, as we've said, they'll need one chance. They'll get chances. They got them against Liverpool, And often with the better teams, you just say if you've got any pace in the team and their backline's lacking it, it's an easy thing to say. So let's not give them that too much of that chance, and let's make sure we're 2 or 3 up. We have to. If we get one,
I'm going to go with a 3-1 prediction for us, and I think we will go 1-0 down first. And it'll be another early goal. We will go down, and that in a weird way actually will benefit us.
I can't disagree with your analysis there, because the nightmare scenario is they score, it's 0-0, and they score in the last minute. We've got to score more than one goal. I'm going to stick with 2-0. I want a clean sheet. I'm not going to.
I prefer that, but I think we will concede that.
And 2-0 keeps us edgy. If we get to 3-0, and then they start to come back, then it won't be 3-0, 3-1. It'll be 3-2. Or so. Let's go 2-0 and keep it edgy. But it's going to be an interesting game without fans. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Like I say, you cannot underestimate any team in the Premier League. You just can't. And to say they go, you look on the forums and people say, oh, West Brom fans, they're going to tonk us. It shouldn't work.
No, shouldn't at all. Anyway, it's getting late now, so I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired.
I always look for these the link. We just need to make sure it is there prominently and bounced after each game.
I tried to bounce it just before we go live, but to be honest, who can really compete with such affable personalities as us? And you've got to have a strong personality to come up. No, not it's welcome to anyone who ever wants to join in. Absolutely.
The more it's great to hear more views, and especially in this day and age where it can become an echo chamber, and having to talk rather than write means that you immediately get feedback, which I think is
it is. It's nice, and it's good for everyone. Anyway, so we will be back after the game on Saturday.
Regardless of the result.
Regardless of the result. Might be hiding. We might be holding up Tesco carrier bags. We might be doing lots of things. Who knows? But we will be back after the game then. So we will see you then. Thank you very much, Richard. And see you all not next week, Saturday. Bye.